So the enclosure for the mid doesn't go all the way to the back. It's kind of just a rectangular tube through there. And if I fix the back of this to the back of the speaker, that's going to brace it. And I'm surprised that isn't done. It wasn't done on the 44s either. So I'm going to glue in a nice piece of batten straight across there to lock all that together. Be quite a bit better. I'm going to fill all these in a minute, and then once that's gone off we can flatten it all off, clean it and wrap it. So we'll get the other one. So I just use car body filler basically to repair these speakers. It's really good stuff. It dries quick, sounds easy, yeah, easy to mix. So that's what I'm going to knock up now, and then we can smear some over the broken bits, and when it's dry we can sand it all back. I'm not going to need a huge amount, so I'll start with that. And you just need a little bit of hardener, not much. It's kind of a pea size of hardener to a golf ball size of filler. So the dings in these are reasonable, but not too bad. I think this one was pretty good. I think most of this will come out just with normal sanding. Actually, these cabinets weren't as bad as I first thought, or remembered I should say. Always seems to be the corners that get bashed around on these. Right, actually that's probably all it needs. A bit there as well. Oh, in there. Now we're finding it. Okay, that's not bad. This is the worst one. It's very good at sticking everything back together as well, this filler. And being designed to be used on a car, it's got to be pretty strong, isn't it? So this is serving as a gasket for the new tweeter. The new tweeter had a larger cutout than the old, even though it's smaller. So I need to make it airtight. Okay, so I've made a couple of little mods to the crossover. I've replaced the little 50 volt 8 microfarad cap on the tweeter with a 100 volt 8 microfarad. I had some of these, so yeah, it just made a bit more sense really. And I've introduced a resistor between the positive and negative of the tweeter. So that's an 8 ohm resistor, because we're now using an 8 ohm tweeter, not a 4. So that's going to give us an effective impedance of 4 ohms on the tweeter circuit. So I'm hoping that will do the correction we need for the 8 ohm tweeter, and we won't have to muck around with any of these values. But time will tell. That will allow the crossover to see a 4 ohm load and keep the crossover frequency the same as it would have done with the original tweeter. But we just have to see how that works out. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to have to adjust these values a little bit, but we will see. You never know. So there we go. Right, so they're both wrapped and one of them is now back together. I'm having to do some work to get the tweeter in, so that is kind of a bit on hold at the moment. But we'll assemble the other one, get everything in, and then hopefully by that time we can get the tweeter sorted out. But yeah, they've come out really well. The vinyl wrap is pretty good. Looking at it close up, it's not perfect, but I think more than passable. I mean, they look really nice. The front I've just gone with a sort of gloss black. Yeah, really pleased with them. Right, so first things first, we've got to take out the old binding posts. So let's quickly do that. Okay, nice new binding post in. I've painted the back black as well, so yeah, just all together looks better. Right, time for the crossover to go in. You probably saw in earlier I've introduced a 8 ohm resistor in parallel with the new tweeter, so that should make the crossover see 4 ohms. So hopefully the crossover frequency will stay the same. Whether we still have to do any adjustments to this, I don't know yet until it's all back together. Time will tell. Right, so what I need to do is solder on some tags onto the plus and minus before we put this in. Right, back in with a crossover. There we go. A crossover, the heart of the loudspeaker. Pretty much. Right, so that's all connected in. So now I need to route the cable for the tweeter up to the top. There we go. And then the mid. So we're going to put the foam in for the mid now. So for the mid we have a square piece, another square piece, and then we have this round or square piece with a circle cut out of it at the top. We need to get the cables through for the mid. Okay, there we go. So time to get that back on. So we got positive here and negative here. Get the soldering iron back on. Lovely. These have got really good fixings. They've got inserts and really good screws, so we're not relying on wood screws. Really good fixings. Gasket on the back of the mid-range, so it seals in there nicely. So yeah, should be pretty good. I don't know if I showed it on one of my other videos, but I've glued in some bracing, so this mid-range box, which didn't go to the back, is now glued to the back, so we've really stiffened the cabinet up as well, and you can just tell. So that's good. So these cables here, I'm going to put some silicone on those in a minute, and then we've got our cables here ready for the woofer. So we'll get some silicone on those. So our mid enclosure is as airtight as we can get it, and there's no air pressure from the woofer getting into this mid enclosure either. So they're separate and they can just do what they're meant to do without any influence from the other drivers. Okay, so I need to build up some solder on these, because remember before they had push fit connections, which we are definitely not using. So we're soldering directly to the driver this time. You just about see 4 ohms plus there, so plus minus, so we'll get a bit of solder built up on that. Lovely. Okay. We will carefully put that in. Okay, that's good. But yeah, the only area that I think might need some tweaking is going to be the tweeter, because obviously we're using a ribbon now, and before we would have had the dome tweeter, which, if you'd seen one of my other videos, have now ended up in a pair of Ditton 11s, which were collected today off to a new home. So they ended up sounding pretty good. I'm hoping these are going to be even better. Okay, yep, no scraping or anything. Lovely. Tweeter. Okay, so final update on these. I've got them all back together. I've got the ribbon tweeters in now. I'm not particularly happy with the way they've gone in there. The cutout for the old tweeter was bigger. I've kind of fixed those in there and put some foam around them at the moment, but I'm going to redo that. I'm going to cut a little wooden circle and mount them in there a bit better. I mean, they're fine. Anything I do now isn't really going to improve the sound, but yeah, these have turned out really, really well, and man, they sound really, really good. I've got to spend a bit more time listening to them. I will give them a measure, but they sound really good. Maybe the tweeter's just playing a little bit too loud, but the 8 ohm resistor I've put across the tweeter, so the crossover can see 4 ohms, seems to have worked really, really well. So yeah, I think we're 95% there, but they sound really good, really good. So I will do a final video, which will be final tweaks to the tweeter and possibly the crossover, but yeah, they are pretty much there. I've still got to redo the speaker cloth, but that's a bit of a detail at the moment. But I'll just show you around them. So the vinyl wrapping has come out pretty well. There's a few little dimples just where probably some dust was underneath it, but that might come out. So the back has all been sprayed black, We've got some new binding posts on there, as you saw. But yeah, all in all, I am really pleased with these. I have to say, of all the speakers I've had and worked on recently, these are one of the best. They sound fantastic. So, okay, there'll be one final video, which will be the speaker grill cloth and redoing the mountings for these tweeters. And maybe a little crossover tweak, but yeah, otherwise I'm going to call these finished. Mega.